Welcome to this week's episode of TRUUU Podcast. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm your host, Drea.
And today we're going to be talking about something really fun. We're going to be talking about our preferences on some food rivalries. So we're going to be taking a stand. We're going to be dining on that hill, maybe a little bit. Probably.
Dining on that hill? Oh my God, did you hear that?
So one thing that's like come back into like vogue as of like an expression that I've heard, and this is both like at work and with my boyfriend as well.
Okay.
Like when you're taking a stance on something and you really, really believe it, you're willing to die on that hill for it.
Okay. I've never heard that expression, but then again,
I heard a lot at work, and
mm.
then something that my boyfriend started saying. So I'm just kind of like, dude, you're tripping me out because this is only a work thing.
Is it supposed to be like is that like, okay, I hate to like kind of, I don't know, I hate to like assume, but is it like an old person thing to say? Because I'm like, I've never heard that in my life.
I love that so much. It's so funny. I don't know. I mean, because yes, I haven't heard it before. The people in my office were saying it. There was like a very particular person that would always say it. My coworker David, he would always say it. He's not in our office anymore, but he'd say it all the time.
Interesting.
So, I don't know.
Maybe we're just uncultured.
Maybe. But
Anyway.
that's really funny. Apparently, anyone who uses that expression is old.
Anyway,
so before we get into that, we'll get into our week updates as we always do, and hopefully we don't wax poetic on them like we usually do, but hopefully you get something from it as well. I think that they're fun. Anyway, so Drea, how's your week been?
My week has been okay. Not super a lot has happened. I've been continuously like once a week since I've mentioned it like a few podcasts ago. I've been going golfing, and I am here to say that I'm getting significantly better. And that's not even just me saying it, because it is my scores that prove it, because they're going down. And I am hopeful to see that soon it won't be like embarrassing for me to go out golfing with people who know how to golf, and it'll be more just like, okay, like she can hang, you know what I mean?
You're so athletic that it doesn't surprise me that you're improving quickly.
Okay, this is a hot take, but here's the thing. Here's a hot take. Do you need to be athletic to be good at golf?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that per se, but I think that you have like the skill set needed to like be versatile in that way, because like I would assume that you can probably get the hang of any particular sport just because like you have that way about you.
Okay, that's a good, yeah, I agree with that. I think that golf particularly is challenging because it's like so like technical, but being that I do have a background in a sport that is also technical, being tennis, like I think that's one of the reasons that I'm able to pick it up relatively quickly. But yeah, it's been really fun. I've been going with my boss, and then this week we're taking Aaron out, so we'll see how that goes. And then also, so okay, here's something interesting that happened this week for me. Well, not even for me, but around me. So my sister, she recently, so okay, I've mentioned it before on the podcast that like I've gone to see like an energy healer, right?
Sure.
So my sister decides that she's going to see the energy healer. And so she's like doing a session with her, and she's like working down her body, like clearing like different like bad energies that she has, and like going through all this stuff. And then she gets to her feet, and my sister had been complaining about her feet for like some time now. Like she's been having like weird like swelling. Like she had this like phase where her feet were always like cramping like really bad. And like, I don't know, Danielle just has issues with her feet for some reason. And so she gets to her feet, and the lady is just like, oh, you have like an entity attached to you. And then I was like, an entity? And she's just like, yeah, is it like human? Is it not? And it's just like, no, it's not a human entity. Like, da da da. And she's like telling Danielle that there's like an entity attached to her that's not human, and it's like causing her issues in her feet. And when like this is at the end of the session, so like the lady was like, you know, doing her little test, and she's like, oh, but your body's not ready to like do any more releasing right now because we've already done like an hour of it, so we need to save this for next time. So then I was like, okay, weird. And so they don't really go into it. They end the session, da 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 da. So the next or 2 days later, Danielle has a therapy session like with her therapist, who her therapist is also kind of like she's into like Eastern medicines. Like she's not very like, I'm gonna prescribe you medicine and you know, like she's more like holistic. And so she's having like her little session with her therapist, and her therapist is like, oh, and then Danielle tells her like, oh yeah, I was like seeing an energy healer this week, because like my feet have been having issues. And so then her therapist is like, oh, like let me see like what I can see, because she like does a lot of like karma card readings and energy readings and And so and Danielle hadn't told her anything. She just said that she saw an energy healer, her feet have been bothering her. And then her therapist is like, oh my God, you have a demon attached to you. And Danielle's like, what? And then she was like going into it, and like she was just pulling this information out of nowhere, and she was just like, oh yeah, your friend gave it to you. I'm gonna bleep that name out. When I edit this, I'll bleep the name out. But she's like, yeah, your friend still gave it to you, not on purpose, but she did when she came into your house. And then so her therapist is like clearing the energy, and then since then her feet have been getting better. Because it got to the point where she couldn't even wear sandals because they were so swollen. Like she looked like she was gonna explode.
Interesting.
So weird goings-ons in my household. And I know that you're a skeptic, so you're like, but I'm like, a demon.
Here's the thing, right? Because you and I have had conversations many times about how I do in actuality believe in demons.
Sure.
So like, yes, there is a certain part of me that's very skeptical about that whole thing. However, I'm like severely uncomfortable with the idea that they were like saying that it was a demon, because like, you know, I feel like demons are real. So there's that. And then secondly, like I know that, you know, Danielle and her friends are all into like the super like witchy sort of stuff. And it's kind of like, I don't know what y'all do, and I don't think that they're summoning demons or whatever. That's not at all what I'm saying, but it's kind of like, you know, I was, you know, taught to and raised not to like dabble around in that sort of stuff, like
right,
and all that stuff. So like, I know that that's kind of like an aesthetic, the whole like witchy aesthetic thing, but I always kind of like want to like have some distance from that.
sure.
Hearing like that sort of stuff, I'm just like, I wonder if it's all this like witchcraft stuff that they're into.
Well, they're okay. So, like, going into that, like, I know that they are into that aesthetic of like witchy, whatever, but they don't do witchcraft. Like, they
Yeah, I
actively
wouldn't,
don't do anything like that. They
I,
just like the style.
I wouldn't think so, but like, you know, how you and I both believe that you can invite yourself or invite things onto yourself.
Right. And that's kind of like why
Or-
she kind of believes it, because the person that it came or supposedly came from, her husband, who, you know, they have issues with him, he's the only one who is kind of like off the rails with like the things he does.
Really?
So, yeah, like he's a little bit creepy. Huh?
Is he doing that sort of stuff?
He's doing weird stuff. Like I don't know what he does, but he's into weird stuff. And so that's why they're just like, "Oh my God, like this totally like could have happened." And then the therapist was telling her, because like at that time she was like grieving the loss of her friend, and so like her barriers or like walls whatever were like weakened because she was like what is it, like mourning. So they're just like that, so your weakened state, it was able to attach itself onto you. So it's
Well,
like, oh God.
I guess my final thoughts on it are, yes, I'm still skeptic and still skeptical of the whole thing. However, I feel like that's
That's yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird, and like I don't know, creepy. Anyway, so then that was something that happened this week. And then lastly, you and we went over to our friend JT's house to go swimming and have a barbecue and like do all this jazz, and it was really fun. We met his girlfriend. But like culminating the evening, we were playing Pokemon Stadium on the N64, and I'm here to say that I am just so proud of myself for still having it. I was talking a big game and I held it up like I destroyed the competition, and I'm like, things never change. Things never change.
you know what? I'll agree with you in the sense that things never change, because one, no one's surprised that you that you won Pokemon Stadium.
JT was surprised. He thought he was gonna win.
Right. Well, I mean,
Loser.
there's that, but the rest of us are just kind of like, yeah, you guys just do your thing, man. Like I knew from the beginning, I'm not going to be any competition in this game.
But
However,
you were better than Wardo.
yeah, you know, no offense to Wardo, but you know, Wardo's a fool sometimes. So there's
Offense.
but I mean, because on the note of like things being, you know, as they always are, as far as like that stuff goes, I
Mhm.
did swat all you guys at Mario Party.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm
Mario,
kind of
but
like,
then also like that Mario Party, like you have the most experience with, so also not shocking.
we played so much of it in college. Don't even at me with that.
I didn't say we didn't, but you had it from a child until college.
It's been since college that I picked up that game.
Well, same. Okay, anyway.
But yeah, that whole JT's house thing was really fun. I feel like we hung out in the pool a little bit longer than I thought that we would have. I was actually kind of proud of us because it wasn't that hot that day. Like it was hot,
Hmm.
but when we got in the pool, it wasn't really that hot. So just kind of like, man, we were playing a little bit with fire here because it was like so cold.
Yeah, I was cold.
But one thing that was really funny that I thought was noteworthy that JT had said when we were there, and you'll laugh at this as soon as you remember. But he was asking us, I think, about the podcast or whatever, or maybe he was telling his girlfriend about the podcast or
Oh
something.
yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
Like he said that you and I had Rhett and Link vibes, which if you guys don't know what that is, we're talking about the hosts of Good Mythical Morning, which they're YouTubers and they're super hilarious and blah blah blah. And one thing that I think you and I can agree on is that if we're like saying who's Rhett and who's Link, you're definitely Rhett and I'm definitely Link, like without question. But he reversed it. He's just like, "Oh yeah, Alex is such a Rhett and Drea is such a Link." And it's like, what is this nonsense? That is so funny. But I mean, it's flattering.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's also like it's I was mentioning this like there when we were talking about this, and I think it also has a lot to do with like when people know you as like a child, it's hard for them to change their view of you as an adult.
Yeah.
So like obviously when me and JT were kids, like I was like a goober. So like he's just like, "Oh yeah, you're definitely Link. You got Link energy." And I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm that way anymore, but I understand why he would have a hard time like letting go of that.
Yeah. So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, that was a really good time. Lots of fun games.
Yeah, it was a good time. But what else happened in your week, Alex?
Lord have mercy. So, I would say that every single day last week, I was out doing something, like after work.
Mm,
It was like the most I'd ever like invested into like doing things in a particular week. Like
mm.
since even before quarantine. Like I wasn't doing stuff every single day after work last, couple years ago, I guess now. Well, a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so on Monday we had recorded the last podcast and
Mm-hmm.
out. Tuesday we went to JT's. Wednesday and Thursday I was out with Michael.
Tuesday we went to JT's. Tuesday we went to Felipe's.
Tuesday we went to Felipe. That's right, we went to Felipe's that day.
Yeah.
Like I knew that I had seen you a lot that week.
Yeah, I'm like, we didn't go to JT's on Tuesday. Yeah, we went to Felipe's.
Yeah, so that was really fun. So we
Mm-hmm.
celebrated our kind of celebrated because it was belated, but we celebrated our friend Felipe's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, the pizzas that we had there were very interesting. So we had a taco pizza, you guys. You Oh, you didn't get to eat the
I
like
didn't eat it. No, it wasn't taco, it was street corn.
no, it had street corn on it, but it was like taco inspired.
No, it was called Mexican street corn pizza.
That was it.
That was what it was called, yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. It was really interesting tasting though. It was very confusing to eat.
I'm also like, and we were talking about this as we were leaving, like me, Aaron, and Eduardo, like because we were driving in the same car. And as we were leaving, and I don't know if you agree with this opinion, but like all of us are just like, man, that was some bad pizza.
I do agree with you actually.
Yeah, because like we're so used to getting like red doubles, like Hungry Howie's, like Hungry Howie's isn't particularly good, but it's tasty. And like, oh my God, we got like, what is it called? Round Table.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had Round Table since like middle school. And like, I was just reminded of like how like low quality pizza that place serves.
Yeah, I mean, I never ate much round table growing up or whatever, so I didn't
Mm.
like form much of an opinion on it. But yeah, it wasn't the best pizza I ever had for sure.
This is a bummer that we are talking about this right now, as opposed to at the end of your week update, because that would have been a fantastic transition into the topic today.
Right, you're absolutely right. But
Nonetheless, go on.
so anyway, we played a really fun. Okay, so it was really hilarious. What was that game that we played?
I have no idea what it was called.
Okay, so the premise of this game, you guys, and it was really funny, was that like each person like would draw a card like in sequence or whatever. Like you went like from person to person, or you play in teams or whatever. And on one side of the card that you're showing to the rest of the people you're playing with is like gibberish, basically. Gibberish words that if you say it enough and like fast enough, you'll hear like a phrase from it.
Mm-hmm.
So we played this game together. It was so hilarious and funny. Because it was
It
like
was frustrating.
it's the trippiest thing because like when you're the person who like has the card and you know what the phrase is, like you're hearing everyone like say the gibberish word phrases, but to you, since you already like your brain has the context of what it's supposed to be, you keep hearing them say the right
The phrase, yeah.
you have to like decide whether or not they're like intentionally saying the right thing or if they're just, repeating it a bunch of times trying to gain some sort of, insight from what it's supposed to be. But it was really fun.
Being like not being the judge, being like a participant and like trying to figure it out is like the most infuriating thing in my whole life. Like it was so impossible.
Really?
I was like, what the hell is this sentence? And then people would like get it. I'm like, how did you get that? Like it's just, oh, I hated it. It was the worst game.
We did so we played that one, which was my favorite of the night, but then we also did play Uno, which I think, Uno is one of those things to me where you really have to be down for the investment that it is.
Mm.
Uno games, I feel like, are rarely, if ever, short. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is like a period of time that you're spending on this game.
Especially with so many people, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like, ugh, Uno. I've never really been particularly a fan of Uno, but I digress. So, what else do we do? Saturday, we celebrated as a family my dad's birthday. We celebrated that a little bit early, which was fun. Sunday, I watched. Oh, Sunday was actually a big day for me. So I ended up singing in my church's worship band, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
I got an invite to do that more regularly. So that's going to be an interesting thing for me going forward.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve-wracking, certainly, because I don't like doing. Oh, well, it's not that I don't like doing that, but like, I'm kind of insecure about my singing voice.
Mm.
So, like, putting that really out there is kind of nerve-wracking for me, but I think that it might be a healthy, good experience for me. So I'm just like, well, I'm not going to say no then. But aside from that, watched Fast and Furious 9 because there has to be 9 movies, right? We
I
can't
was just
end the series.
I was just talking about Fast and Furious, yes, like 2 days ago, and like I was just like, I've only ever seen Tokyo Drift. That's like the worst one.
Yeah. It's funny because like, okay, so um I think it's pretty like typical for like the last movie of any franchise to like bring back a bunch of the homies, from like past movies and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that a little bit in this movie, although it's definitely not going to be the last one. So I'm just like, why are you bringing them all back now?
Maybe, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know.
It's gotten even stupider, basically. So
They've lost ideas of what to do, so they're just like, let's bring back the cast.
yeah, the movie was overall good, I guess. I mean, and by good, you have to just assume that it's going to be stupid, which it was.
Mm.
It was definitely stupid, and it was just like this has no basis at all in reality. Because I feel like where the franchise started out, like with
Mm-hmm.
even just like the racing and that's it,
Mm-hmm.
like the cop stuff, like that was
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like that was just like, yeah, I can get behind this idea, blah blah blah. Now it's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
The tech that they have with these cars and like all this whatever is just silly.
Too much.
So that was fun. Monday didn't do much. Yesterday I made my boyfriend watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Love that movie. It's a great movie.
Because there's been so many times where I wanted to like make a reference to the movie because there's
Mm-hmm.
so many like quotable parts of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've ever read something that's just like way too long and like long-winded, like you would just want to do the thing that Michael Cera does, where you're just like, this is boring.
I love that.
All right, so I made him watch that. He liked it, so that was good. Ooh, and then I guess the thing that I'll wrap this up with is by the time that this podcast comes out, it will actually be effective starting that day. So my big news that I've been keeping under wraps lately is that I got promoted.
Yay! Wow.
So yeah, effective July 1st, I'm in a new position. I'm a assistant director of admission at the school that I'm at.
Super exciting. Everyone send some good jujus to Alex
Yeah.
on her first day at her new job. Well, new position.
Yeah, my new position. So yeah, really exciting. Really excited to see how things go moving forward with it. It's gonna be a really good time. And
That's awesome.
it's super trippy. It
Yeah.
feels super weird to be in a position like that. But I mean, I'm happy. So there's that.
Okay, well, that's amazing. And I'm so excited for you. And you're going to do amazing. So, not worried.
Yay. Anyway, so let's get into this then. Let's just get into the thing. All right. So, like we had mentioned, and I kind of come up with this idea like by accident because I was out shopping with my boyfriend before his barbecue, and he was getting sodas at the grocery store, and there was a sale on Pepsi products. So like you get like 3, cases of like Pepsi products for like a, discounted whatever. And the thing is that like a lot of Pepsi products, in my opinion, suck.
Okay.
So like he got like these sodas that I didn't feel like got a lot of attention from the people who were like, at this, whole thing. Like he has basically a plethora of sodas left.
Okay. What
Like,
kind of sodas, like, what are Pepsi products?
so he got like he got straight up Pepsi, right? And then he got Sierra Mist and I think like 7 Up.
Okay. I like Sierra Mist.
Yeah, but I don't think that like if you're going like somewhere, that's probably not the most popular option. But anyway, my whole thing was just kind of like, because I also like there's this show on TV about food rivalries.
Right.
And I'd watched the like Coke and Pepsi, thing. And I was telling him about how like, oh yeah, like, most people have a pretty strong opinion about like being Coke or being Pepsi like drinkers or whatever. He's like, I actually really like Coke. I'm just like, then why did you even buy Pepsi?
Maybe because it was a better deal.
It's 100% because it was a better deal, but it was kind of like we all know that Pepsi's the loser here.
Okay, well, before you get into it, Alex, let's give the breakdown. Jeez.
I'm willing to be just like out the gate right now doing that. But anyways, yes. So the breakdown is we're gonna like tell you some of the popular food rivalries that we've found on the interwebs, say a little bit of facts about each category or about each product, and then we'll let you guys know how we feel about them. So if you care about that, then listen on.
If you care about that.
The first rivalry we have is Pepsi versus Coke, which I feel like is probably like if you're thinking about food rivalries, this is the one you think of.
Yeah, this is a classic one. You can't not know it. Okay, since you're so pro Coke, why don't you give the little facts about Coke?
So we're not like gonna go into like too many like historical things, like just some like fun facts and whatever about each product. So for Coke, one of like the cool things like about them and their products is like they let you like, well, they do like the personalized name thing, right? So like you go to like a convenience store or whatever and you can find like a bottle of Coke with your name on it. Like going to, a theme park and looking for like a keychain that has your name on it and whatever. Although I feel like there's always like that chance like you're never gonna find your own name because it's too popular or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so you can do that. There was a point in time where I believe it was Coke where you can get like, if not free admission, but like discounted admission to Six Flags,
yeah.
And a Coke. Like a drunk can of Coke, like it was an empty can.
Yeah, like an empty one, yeah.
Which I'm just kind of like, what kind of insane deal is that? Like you drink a can of Coke and you can get into Six Flags.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, it was definitely like a marketing ploy, but it was cool. Like it definitely was cool. Like that's something that I remember a lot of people being like, oh, don't forget your Coke can or whatever.
Well, and that's the thing, like for me, it was always far enough away that like that was, never really I never used it.
Because you didn't go to Six Flags?
No, Six Flags is kind of far away.
Yeah, really far away. I've been a few times and it's whatever. Anyway, okay. So, oh, do the fun fact, Alex.
Ooh, so fun fact. Coke ships its syrup to McDonald's locations in stainless steel containers, not the conventional plastic bags other suppliers use. The result is said to be most delicious, freshest Coke available, which is really interesting. And I feel like, how do you dispose of the stainless steel containers after that? Like, isn't it a huge pain for
Maybe they like recycle it. Like maybe they send it back and then they like clean it, refill it, send the stainless steel, whatever, you know?
maybe? But
I don't
anyway,
know.
so that's, I mean, more or less Coke. I actually did watch the rivalry specific episode of that TV show, like for Coke and Pepsi.
What
And
TV show?
I'm trying to remember what it is. I know that my mom loves this show though, which is very interesting because my mom's standards are like really high for like what she'll watch.
Mm-hmm.
Likes this food rivalry show. I'll probably, if I think of it later, I'll say it. But
Okay. All
um
right. Well, Pepsi, on the other hand, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they often have like mini raffles or like chances to win like entertainment tickets or whatever, like on their Pepsi products. Like there's a lot of like, I don't know, like enter to win on their stuff, which is, I don't know, it's kind of cool. And then they also had a Super Bowl commercial back in the day in 2004 with Britney Spears, Pink, and Beyonce that if any of you millennial babies remember was a banger. So that's really neat from the Pepsi. Oh, they also did have that Pepsi like fiasco commercial at the Super Bowl with Kendall Jenner. So that was enough. It's a good comparison between like their standard of commercials. Um, and then a fun fact about them is that there's dozens of variations of Pepsi drinks that you've probably never even heard of. So,
oh
like
yeah.
for example, in Japan, there's Pepsi flavors that include the azuki bean, strawberry milk, shizo, cucumber, bayo. I don't know if I'm saying any of this right. Tree fruit, yogurt, and salty watermelon.
Salty watermelon Pepsi. What is that?
Yeah, so there's
Oh,
some wild Pepsi flavors that are out there, but that's kind of fun that like there's a ton of different options for the different countries that they distribute to. Okay, so let's move on to our personal opinions. Alex already came out the gate saying how it's obvious that Coke is better.
well,
Go ahead.
here's my thing though. Like, I will concede that they do taste like pretty similar in some ways.
Uh-huh.
Like, I feel like if you were to do a blind taste test of it, like it might be a little bit tricky to differentiate what it is. But
Ooh, that'll be fun, Alex. We should do that.
we should do that.
We should do that with like a lot of things that are similar. So like Coke, Pepsi, like Sierra Mist, 7 Up, you know, like things like that and see if we could differentiate.
Yeah, I'm down. But
That'd
anyway,
be fun. Anyway, sorry.
for another time,
for
maybe.
another podcast.
But I always kind of felt like Coke was well, I always felt like Pepsi was the knockoff Coke, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like for most people I knew, they were Coke people.
And what's Shasta if Pepsi is the knockoff Coke?
Like it doesn't even exist.
Okay.
Shasta, disgusting. Well, those like really to me just taste bad.
Yeah, those are, I mean,
The
I don't like
generic
soda in
brand,
general, so,
well, there's that for sure. But the
but
generic brand sodas, they're just kind of like, "Huh."
right. Yeah, so like for me, my Coke opinion is a little bit skewed because Coke monopolized my collegiate athletic experience. And like that is a weird statement to say. Yes, I know. But the school that I went to was sponsored by Coke, and like the division we played in was sponsored by Coke. So like we couldn't utilize any non-Coke products because it was like in breach of contract. So like
Right.
all I wanted was a nice Gatorade, and we couldn't have Gatorade. We had to have Powerade. Like it wasn't allowed unless we like poured the Gatorade into another container. And I'm just like, this is so extra. Like, who is really going to be checking? Like, who's going to come to our stupid little D3 match and check that? But they're just like, you never know. You never know who's out there. You can't have it. I'm just like, I just want Gatorade.
I feel like that's a little bit crazy for D3.
I mean, rude for D3. We're important too, Alex.
You guys are. I'm not saying you're not. I'm just like, that's really hardcore for like, it's not like, yeah. I'm just
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. In D2, we were actually sponsored by Gatorade or like whatever the Gatorade like branding is. So like I was able to have Gatorade then, but anyway, so that's something, but Mexican Coke specifically is on a next level. They use like the sweetener, like I know we had mentioned like McDonald's uses like the syrup, but Mexican Coke uses cane sugar and it's revolutionary. It tastes a million times better. And like anyone who knows Mexican Coke will like staunchly fight for the fact that Mexican Coke is
oh
better than
yeah.
any Coke you've ever had.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit.
Yeah. And ultimately, I'm a Coke fan. I don't like sodas, but I think Coke's a little bit better than Pepsi. But one thing that Coke does, like, kind of like ruin things for me is like I associate it very closely with like feeling sick. Because like that was a thing that we did. I don't know if it's like a Mexican thing or maybe it's just my family thing, but like when you had an upset stomach, they would give you Coke.
What? What
Yeah,
about
like it would settle your
ginger ale,
stomach.
man?
Huh?
What about like ginger ale? Isn't that what like the whole ginger ale thing is for? Like, oh, you have an upset stomach, drink some Sprite or ginger ale.
I don't know. We always had Coke. And like I said, I don't know if it's a my family thing or if it's just like a Mexican thing. But like I know a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, when you have an upset stomach, you drink Coke.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know.
hmm.
Anyway, so ultimately we're in the clear. It's Coke. Coke's the winner.
We both believe Coke's the winner in that face off. Moving on to McDonald's versus Burger King. Mickey D's versus the King.
Versus the king.
Anyway, so notable things from McDonald's include obviously the Big Mac. I feel like that's like their big kahuna.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pretty diverse offering of breakfast stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fun facts for McDonald's is this real? Drea wrote this fun fact down. I was like reading it, like, what in the world? McDonald's makes over $75 million per day. Are you for real? Where did you
Well,
cite your
figure
source?
that's international.
Um,
McDonald's is international.
you're right.
Yeah, so yeah, they make $75 million per day.
And if you're in the US, you're never more than, is this 15
It's
miles?
15 miles. I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's 15 miles.
Never, if you're in the US, you're never more than 15 miles from McDonald's. I believe that for
Yeah.
sure. McDonald's are everywhere. That's because like
Yeah.
places in like New York, for example, like Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
like you can probably be standing on a street corner and like for both McDonald's and for Starbucks, you can probably see two from where you're standing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's wild how many McDonald's there are. Okay, so for Burger King, the king, unlike or similar to the McDonald's branding for their Big Mac, like I feel like Burger King is really well known for their Whopper and the Whopper derivatives. And then also their chicken fries. Like that's like a thing that I feel like Burger King is always like people who have been going there for a while are just like bring back the burger fry or the chicken fries, whatever. Um, and then a fun fact about Burger King, it was originally called the Insta Burger King,
Oh, that's weird.
which is funny because that would probably be in vogue today. They could capitalize on some social like media marketing with like Instagram.
Yeah,
um,
if they would have kept it that way, it would have been nice for them, I guess.
it would have been something. And then in Australia, Burger King is actually known as Hungry Jacks.
Oh, so kind of like how Carl's Jr. is Hardee's in the Midwest.
Exactly. Okay, so Alex, what are some of your thoughts here?
So I will say definitively out the gate that I'm all the way McDonald's in this matchup.
Mm,
Like McDonald's is the one for me. Like growing up, I was a picky eater, right? So like what I'd want to eat is like chicken nuggets,
mm-hmm.
like chicken tenders or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Burger King chicken blows. I
Okay.
don't like their chicken at all, and I think that like, well, for me, I probably would like the chicken fry idea a lot more if I actually like their chicken. But I'm just
Hmm.
like, what's the difference between just getting your nuggets and getting the chicken fries, man?
Yeah.
Just so that one's like longer
I
and
don't
just
know. It's like
sort of big.
it's the novelty of it. Anyway.
But yeah, the only cool thing to me about them growing up is that they like for their kids' meals and whatever, like you can get the crowns.
Mm-hmm.
That was
That
like
was fun.
cool. And then like there was always like a McDonald's down the street for me when I was growing up. Like, and it was one of those McDonald's with like one of those play place areas
Mm-hmm.
that they later added video games to. That was a trip. Did you not know that?
No, they have video games at McDonald's play places.
Yeah, so like
Wow.
they had like GameCube there.
Wow, that's extra.
I know, right? It was really cool. I
Okay.
mean, super back in the day sort of cool, but yeah, it was really cool. I mean, and I will be on the record saying that I would like rarely ever eat at any of these places as an adult. Like I'm not trying to go to either McDonald's or Burger King. But
Yeah.
if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably go to McDonald's. But I'm just kind of like, because at this point, you eat McDonald's and you feel kind of gross a couple hours later. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what kind of choices did I just make?
Absolutely, Alex. And I want to piggyback off of that and say I couldn't care less about this category because I also would not eat it either. There was one time that my grandmother-in-law wanted Burger King and she wanted me to get her fries. And so I got her fries and like, as you do, you take a fry out of the thing and eat it. I literally spit the fry out because it tasted so bad.
Yeah, their fries aren't great. They're not
I
the
was like, holy hell, how do you mess up fries? Um, but ultimately I do choose McDonald's slightly over Burger King solely for the fact that McDonald's breakfast isn't heinous.
yeah, it's
I
pretty
think
okay.
it's okay. And it was fun when they had that like 24-hour breakfast deal where like you can get it at any time of the day.
Mhm.
Um, I got kicked out of McDonald's one time. I don't know if I've told you the story.
I don't recall this story, but I feel like that's noteworthy that you got kicked out of McDonald's.
It wasn't anything big. It was just that like I was in the as like a teenager, I was in the play place and I was sliding down their slides on like trays so that you go like zooming fast.
Oh, okay, so you deserved it.
I got kicked out and like well deserved. I was like, whatever. And then like now I'm just like, oh God, that was annoying. Okay, so unanimously we agree also McDonald's is the king there. Is
Awesome.
the king? Ironic. Okay.
Maybe the king. Anyway, so moving on. This one breaks my heart a little bit, actually, this next one. But anyway, we'll get into why in a second.
Oh
So
God.
the next one is KFC versus Popeyes. And I feel like other than like Coke versus Pepsi, this is probably one of the most like honest to goodness, like this is a really good matchup, I think.
Yeah, it's a good rivalry.
So on the KFC side, we have the original and extra crispy recipe chicken, which are pretty bomb. They have pot pies, which is interesting. They have like those power bowls that have
Mm-hmm.
like the chicken bits and like cheese and the mashed potatoes and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, fun stuff put together. Fun fact, the chicken recipe is still a secret.
Mm-hmm.
KFC has a secret chicken recipe and it's been that way for decades. The KFC secret chicken recipe is kept in a vault at the company's headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky. Mm.
Wow. Okay. Well, on the flip side, Popeyes, they are known for their Cajun styled fried chicken. Also very popular recently is like their fish and chicken sandwiches, as well as their popcorn shrimp, which right now sounds delectable to me. Fun fact, it wasn't named after the cartoon character Popeye. If you watch the movie The French Connection, then you've seen the character that actually inspired the name of the famous franchise. It was Jimmy Popeye Doyle, a character in the film that was portrayed by actor Gene Hackman.
Hmm.
Mm.
Um, so here's why this matchup breaks my heart a little bit. Because I think that just across the board, visually, all Popeye stuff is better, right? Like I just think
Mm-hmm.
that it looks really good. I
Mm-hmm.
love the look of their sides and like there's a lot on their menu that I'd like to have. However, the Cajun is what kills me, man, 'cause it makes it spicy. And I know that they have like different levels of spice and whatever, but I even chose their mildest one.
And you couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it.
Oh, geez.
I was dying.
That's a bummer. So by default, you choose KFC.
Yeah, I mean, because KFC was the classic growing up, right? Like I feel like there's a pretty big like period of time where like everyone was going through a KFC kick. Like everyone I knew like went through it when I was in middle school. Like everyone was eating KFC all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. I feel like its quality of like the chicken has declined over the years. I will
Mm.
say that. Like it seemed to like the chicken seemed to be like, you know, more more meat and stuff back in
Mm.
the day
Mm.
as opposed to now. I feel like at this current time, I probably wouldn't eat KFC too often just because of how like greasy and unhealthy it is. and the feeling horrible after eating it part. But it's still good. KFC is still good. Their pot pie was good. I did try that once. And I think that they have very convenient, like, um, I guess like
Menu options.
individual. Yeah, they have like individual like meal things. So like you
Yeah.
can get like those meal deals or whatever. Like you can get like fries with it or mashed potatoes or like whatever with a couple pieces of chicken. I was like, oh, that's
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
fries are pretty good.
I totally agree with you. And I think it's unfortunate because you by default are saying that you choose KFC just because you cannot tolerate the spice of the Cajun. And I unfortunately, and we're gonna be added so hard because I'm also by default choosing KFC because I've never had Popeyes. I don't know how it's happened. It's not that I don't want to, it just has never happened.
You got to do
Um,
it for me, man. Enjoy it for me because I can't.
I know. I need to try it. I used to get, like you said, everyone went through a KFC kick. I also went through a KFC kick. We used to get it all the time when I was younger. But like you said, now it's like if I'm getting fried chicken, I'm getting fried chicken once every 3 months because I'm like my arteries.
I was gonna say, I'm just kind of like, it's really difficult for me to imagine you eating fried chicken.
Oh yeah, it's
That's like
it's
so the opposite of the sort of things that you eat. And it's kind of like, Drea, you went through a KFC kick? What are you talking about?
when I was younger, I was unhealthy. But like, yeah, I'll have it like here and there because I think it tastes good. It's just that, like you said, afterwards, my body is like, what have you done to us? All
Yeah.
right. Well, unanimously, dang, we seem to be agreeing on everything, Alex. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, so Dunkin' Donuts versus Starbucks, the old coffee rivalry.
The
So,
old coffee.
so Dunkin' Donuts has both, donuts and coffee, as it would suggest in the title of the restaurant, in their name. They have donuts. So fun fact, Dunkin' serves more than just coffee to their communities. The Joy in Childhood Foundation, formerly the Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins Community Foundation, that's quite a mouthful of it.
Exactly.
So good thing they consolidated, has been deeply embedded in communities across the country and has donated more than 16 million to hundreds of national and local charities to provide joy to kids battling hunger or illness. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a really cute little fun fact. On the flip side, Starbucks is the whole experience. So it's not just coffee and donuts, they offer like music, Wi-Fi, coffee, food, even swag and like different like, like paraphernalia. It's definitely a staple in everyone's mind. When you think coffee, you think Starbucks.
Mhm.
And a fun fact about them, as we all know, there are the standard three sizes, the tall, grande, and venti, but there's actually two off-menu sizes called the short cup and the Trenta. And
And
then sorry, what?
sorry, I just said interesting.
Oh. And then lastly, there are more than 87,000 drink combinations possible based off of their menu.
What? That's what?
I mean, that makes sense because think of all the customization you can do.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, I guess my
Anyway.
feeling about it, which I think that, I mean, is understandable if you know me. I don't drink coffee,
Mm,
so there's that.
mm-hmm.
I think, they both have their uh good points for me in the sense of like at Starbucks at least I could still like drink a tea or like one of their refreshers or something,
Right.
you know? And if I was ever in the mood for a donut, I guess I'd go to Dunkin', although there's probably a lot of other like donut places I'd go before I'd go there.
Okay.
But ultimately to me, Starbucks wins this matchup just because I'm 100% more likely to go to the Starbucks than Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay. Yeah, I actually like both. I'll go to a Dunkin' Donuts like sometimes on my way to work. They have pretty decent like decaf coffee and like I don't usually get their donuts, but like it's not that I'm opposed to it. I just don't. Ultimately, I think I'd choose Starbucks and I hate to say that because it's so like mainstream and expected.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's just more options there that I would get. But then after hearing the fun facts, I'm like, oh, I love to align myself with a brand that does good for the community. So it's challenging. I want to choose Dunkin', but ultimately I think I spend more time going to Starbucks's.
Mm.
But one thing I don't like about Starbucks is how like inconsistent sometimes my orders are
Like,
because like I don't drink coffee because I can't with the caffeine. I love coffee. Can't have it. My body won't let me. But like, so I'll order things that are non-caffeinated. And a lot of times, like the specific drinks that I'll order, like will not come out tasting the same, like every single time, depending on what Starbucks I go to, who's working, like it always tastes different. I'm just like, ugh, like you guys need to get some consistency in like the recipe. But anyway, okay. I mean, obviously Starbucks wins, but Dunkin' really, with that fun fact especially, is a close contender.
Right. So the next one, and it's really funny because like I had a lot of feelings about the next matchup. I mean, I imagine that you understand why I have those feelings straight about the next matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But like not only the obvious, which I'm about to get into, but like so the next one is Baskin Robbins versus Dairy Queen. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to like Google this afterwards because I'm just kind of like, why is this like a rivalry when like Dairy Queen has food, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Baskin Robbins is just ice cream. Wouldn't like the more appropriate rivalry be like Cold Stone and Baskin Robbins? But
I
that's
don't know.
like I don't know. Just because I've never looked into it and never had to, I don't know if Cold Stone is like a national brand, which I feel like it probably would be, but
I don't
whatever.
know.
So anyway, let's get into it. Baskin Robbins versus Dairy Queen. So for Baskin Robbins, we have, it was called 31 flavors, right? So like there's a
Mm-hmm.
ton of different flavors. Obviously it's more than 31 at this point, but that's
Mm-hmm.
what they were called back in the day. Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. Fun fact, Baskin Robbins has created more than 1,300 delicious and unique ice cream flavors in its 70-year history. Their top selling ice cream flavors are vanilla, chocolate, mint chocolate chip, pralines and cream, and chocolate chip, which is my favorite. I love chocolate chip. Pralines and cream outsells vanilla internationally.
Wow, yeah, definitely like a variety of like different options you can get at Baskin. On the flip side, Dairy Queen, like, when you think Dairy Queen, you think blizzards, and the blizzards are always really fun because like when they hand it to you, they like turn it upside down and like it's all that cool jazz. Alex mentioned that there's also like a different variety of things you can get there. I think recently they've incorporated like Orange Julius's, right?
Right. Well, and then Dairy Queen, like they sell like honest to goodness food. Like you can have like a meal there.
Like a sandwich or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you can get like a variety of things at Dairy Queen. And then fun fact, so Dairy Queen often gives away free ice cream. They have free cone days at their different locations, so that's really neat. And then their most popular Blizzard flavor is Oreo, which kind of makes sense.
That does make sense. I feel like that's a really popular flavor for like ice cream stuff in general.
Like shake things, yeah.
Like shakes, like Oreo shakes is like, that's the business.
Standard.
Anyway, so getting to how we feel about it. I have very strong feelings about this in the sense of for months, like at least it's been over 4 months, I think, because it
Hmm.
didn't start at your birthday, but like that was the big push for it, I think. Is I've never been to Dairy Queen.
Ever?
No.
Oh, I thought you had.
No, what do you think this whole thing with me? Okay, so here's the thing. Me, Eduardo, and Drea have been trying to go to Dairy Queen for like 500 years, right? So, like I just said, over like 3 months. And I've been like harping on it each time like we text each other because I'm just like, when we gonna go to Dairy Queen? The reason me and Eduardo want to go to Dairy Queen so bad is because I've never had it
Oh,
before.
I didn't know that that was the reason. Oh, that's wild.
So I'm just kind of like, at this point, I'm just like, am I ever gonna get to go to Dairy Queen with you guys? Like, at this point, it's become a thing where I'm not gonna be going with anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has to be with you guys because I've had
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to go,
Mm-hmm.
to different ones. Because like, there's one off of Mission and Monte Vista. So like, there's one like relatively close to me actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that's not the point. Gotta go with my homies, man.
Yeah.
So by default, I have to say that Baskin Robbins wins the matchup for me. But also, I really do like Baskin Robbins ice cream. Like that was like the big staple growing up. And then, for most of our birthdays before my sister-in-law started taking over that responsibility, we'd always get ice cream cakes from Baskin Robbins for our birthday.
That's really fun. That's also something that I feel like I did a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for me, I'm definitely a Baskin Robbins type of person. Honestly, I don't love either. I feel like I have an affinity for Baskin Robbins because my sister worked there for a really long time and we used to go often because she would give us free ice cream. So like I just feel like it's just kind of been this like never ending like presence in my life. And so by default, I'm like, well, I guess I choose Baskin Robbins. I've only ever been to a Dairy Queen like once or twice. But I'm not a big soft serve person. So I feel like that's another reason why I'm like, I'd rather have my scoop from
Wait,
Baskin.
Dairy Queen soft serve?
Yeah, it's soft serve.
Wah.
That's
Well, that takes
hilarious.
away some of my my gung ho-ness to go.
Yeah, it's soft
What
serve.
was it? Like if you compare regular ice cream to soft serve, and it's like to me, it's no contest. You pick the regular ice cream. But anyway.
Agreed. Okay, so then that one's an easy off the bat. Okay, this next one is our last one, and I think it's going to be our most heated debate.
Ooh, heated. Okay. So our next one is Subway versus Jimmy John's. So for Subway, we got a plethora of different sandwich deals, you know, $5 footlongs, all that nonsense, blah, blah, blah. They have more meat and bread options. They have a broad option of super salad. Fun facts include Subway has more restaurants than McDonald's. Is that really true?
You keep asking me, like, is that real? I'm like, I don't know. This is what the internet says.
All right. Anyway, so Subway has been sued for selling 11-inch footlong subs. They're cheating them on the $5 footlongs.
They're cheating them on the 1 inch.
I mean, I feel like being sued for it is a little bit much. I feel like it's a, you know, a bad enough PR thing for them, probably. I don't think they needed to be sued on top of it, especially over like an inch of a sandwich.
Exactly. It's just like,
Pay
yeah,
$5 for it, man. It's not that much.
it's so extra.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the flip side, Jimmy John's. So it's argued that they have higher quality meats. They also have the option for delivery, which is not something that Subway offers, which is kind of ironic because Subway's whole branding is about like a transportation. And then fun fact, they donate to many worthy causes. However, also fun fact, they have gotten into a lot of legal drama between like people boycotting them for like the owner like hunting game in Africa, and like there's labor wage disputes. So they do a lot of good for the community, but they also do a lot of bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anywhere else though, I feel. You know, there's the good and the bad. You take the
Yeah.
good, you take the bad, you know?
All
Anyway,
right, what are your thoughts?
my thoughts is that to me, I'm more partial to Jimmy John's in this matchup,
Hmm.
mostly because I got food poisoning from Subway in college.
Okay.
And it wasn't like just me, like either. Like me and my college boyfriend ate there together and we both got sick thereafter. So it's not like just like an isolated incident. We both got sick at the same time. So I'm just like, well, that was definitely the Subway then. It's not just me being sick or something.
Right.
I will say that I don't particularly like Jimmy John's either.
Okay.
I feel like anytime I've ever eaten there, their sandwiches have been really soggy and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't love that. I hate soggy bread. I just really that's the crux of it. I just hate soggy bread so much.
That's so specific. That's funny.
I will say, and I know it's not a part of the rivalry thing, probably because they're not, you know, popular enough yet, but I'm all about Firehouse subs.
Oh yeah.
That's the hill I'm gonna die on for sandwiches.
Firehouse subs is
delicious.
delicious. I agree with you entirely on that. For me, I think that Jimmy John's sandwiches is the most repulsive thing I've ever eaten in my life. I cannot express how gross I think these sandwiches are. When I had it last, it was just, I had it once in college and I remember not liking it. And then I forgot why I didn't like it. And then I had it recently because it was catered at my work. And it was like eating pure like bread and just like one tiny little sliver of meat and just like a pound of mayonnaise. Like I was literally like gonna throw up. I was like, this is so nasty. I can't even eat it.
Don't like mayo?
In that amount of mayo is disgusting. Like if it's just a little spread, like I'm good with it, you know, and like tuna, like it's good. But like it was just heaping amounts of mayo to like cover up the fact that like there was no meat. And then they don't put anything else in it. Like I'm like, load up my sandwich. Like I know that you, Alex, are like, you're more of like, you know, you like simple sandwiches, simple burgers. I'm like, whatever you can put in there, like throw it in there. So the fact that it's just meat and like bread, I'm like, no.
I will defend myself a little bit here.
Mm,
I'm willing to have whatever on the sandwich as long as there's no like tomato on it. I
mm.
can really live with onion. It's not my favorite, so I don't usually get it on there, but I can live with it, especially if it's grilled onion. That's pretty good. I just hate tomatoes.
For sure. And like that's fine, but like I'm just saying, like for me, like I go over the board. Like I'm just like whatever they offer to put on a sandwich, I'm like putting it on that sandwich. I'm like banana peppers, put it on. Cucumbers, put it on. Like whatever it is, put it on. Like literally, I just go overboard. So the fact that it's just like bread, meat, and cheese, I'm like no. I can't do this shit. Gonna have to bleep that out. Anyway, I also don't like Subway, but in comparison, I think I have to choose it over Jimmy John's because I have such a repulsion to Jimmy John's.
Subway's so nasty, dude. So nasty.
Well,
anyway, but are you gonna say your last comment there that you have your cursor by?
oh yeah, that's right. So like as Alex says, she'll die on the hill for Firehouse. I probably will die on the hill for Jersey Mike's.
Really? Jersey Mike's?
I like Jersey Mike's because exactly what I'm saying. They load that stuff on there. Like that sandwich is like this tall, and I'm like, that is the type of sandwich I'm here for.
I will say, in support of Firehouse, if you people haven't eaten it out there, which I don't know how widely available it is, but if you're in Southern California, you'll definitely find one around. One of the really awesome things about Firehouse is that it supports your local firefighters, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole thing, which is why they're Firehouse. So support your firefighters. They put out fires, man.
I agree with you. I think it's good.
Anywho, that's what we got. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. I thought about adding it later, but I decided not to because we kind of talked about it once before. But one notable rivalry that we did not mention is Pizza Hut and Domino's.
Oh yeah.
Which I'll just say at the gate right now that I'm pro Domino's in that matchup.
I think I'm also pro Domino's.
I don't think like their products are necessarily that different in the sense that they both sell pizza, but I just know that Pizza Hut has had really gross stuffed crust in the past. So I'm just kind of like, get that out of there. It's disgusting. Especially, I love cheese too, but their stuffed crust is gross. So Domino's it is. Anyway, that's all we got for this week's episode. Drop us a line on Instagram if you feel like we messed up on any of these matchups, which we only disagreed on one of them. So sorry about it. It's just, I guess, how our tastes align, which isn't, we're such good friends. I feel like a lot of our opinions match up in that way anyway. So
agreed.
Anywho, it's been fun. It's been real. Catch us next week for whatever we have to talk about.
Bye, guys.
Bye.